Roll call the members.
Chairman Gary Roth,
Here.
Vice Chair Joe Prince,
Here.
Commissioner Waltz,
Here.
Commissioner Brass, absent, Commissioner Eidman, Commissioner Couch,
Here.
Mayor Grimminger,
Here.
Alderman Openfuss.
Here.
Chairman, we have the quorum.
Approval of the agenda. On the agenda, we have a request submitted by Tracy McDonald for a special use permit for a home occupation at 373 Hope Drive. Mr. McDonald would like to conduct a firearm sales from his home, which is located in R1 Single Family Dwelling District. Is there a motion?
First, she said that we need to correct it. It's 374.
Correct.
Everything else is correct, just the agenda is wrong.
There's a typo on the agenda, it's 374.
374 Hope Drive.
Motion to approve with correction.
Second.
Motion to second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of minutes, December the 5th, 2011.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Citizen input, I take it everyone's here for the agenda item. Okay. New business then, a request submitted by Tracy McDonald for a special use permit for a home occupation at 374 Hope Drive. Mr. McDonald would like to conduct a firearm sales from his home, which is located in R1 Single Family Dwelling. Tracy, would you like to address the board?
Yes, sir. I would like to have the opportunity to hopefully open up another business in the city of St. Genevieve. The goal is that there would not be much traffic in the neighborhood by any means. That is not the goal, because I understand that as residential, I do have neighbors that I have also to keep happy also, keep everybody as a business. The goal is that I'd most likely meet the people at another location that have them come to my residence. But most of the goal would be to go to a show and present most of the firearms at the show. Now, as far as the safety of the firearms at my residence, the goal is to have them locked up in cabinets, secured, so there would be nobody getting to them, and also protected by the residents. There would be the hours of operation as of right now would be mostly a couple hours in the evening time, and then some maybe on the weekends. I believe most of my time would be spent away, possibly at the gun shows.
I have a few questions.
Yes, sir.
I guess my first concern is public safety.
Correct.
So storage of ammunition, black powder, any propellants. What are your thoughts there?
If I was approved to be able to have that, it'd be same thing. It would be also locked up with the weapons.
Any type of special protective storage such as fire-resistant cabinets or hazardous material type cabinets?
It would be the fire-resistant, the type that would be used for the weapons also.
Okay. So just a burn rating type safe?
Correct.
Gotcha. Do you have any idea of quantities of ammunition or propellants that you might want to store?
The ammunition will be low, sir. I don't have an exact number, but it will not be a lot, sir.
How about security or alarm systems on is this going to be in your basement or
Yes.
your garage or something?
The basement, correct.
So any particular security measures that you're going to take on the structure to?
I will be installing additional deadlock bolts, and then I will also be adding the security system, or reinstalling the security system.
So there will be an alarm
Yes,
that
sir.
would sound.
Yes.
My only other two questions would be, do we know that all the neighbors received letters and notification in a timely manner?
The adjoining property owners
Okay.
received letters last week.
Okay. Thank you.
Have the property owners and
gotten back to you?
I have received 2 or 3 phone calls, a couple have no issues with it. One woman did have a problem, and I don't know if she's in the audience tonight. I recommended that she attend. And then we did receive 1 letter, and I gave that to the secretary to read into the record.
So there was some negative feedback
Yes.
with adjoining property owners.
Yes.
Any other questions for Mr. McDonald?
I was wondering if you maybe talked to the adjoining property owners, that might have done you some good if you did not, had you done that.
I have talked to a couple, but no, I have not talked to all of them, no, sir.
Any other questions at this time? Okay, we'll go to you, whichever you would like to speak first. Come up and state your name and your address, please.
Name's Bob Coulter, live at 934 Front Fork, he's back over and 2 over, and I didn't know anything about it till Carol come over and said something right before, a couple hours ago, but anyway, I just heard the word gun sales, red flags went up. I don't have nothing against him personally, I'm sure he's a fine neighbor, most of them are up there. My main concerns are, I know it's not the best lit area in the neighborhood, it's a cul-de-sac, and it's adjoining a field behind them, basically, it's not lit whatsoever. But, just my concern is, with the crime and guns, you just will have bars of gold in their houses. People gets out about guns and ammunition, especially a sales deal. So my concern is a safety issue. I don't have to get somebody making money, and certainly like guns as well as most people do, but my concern is a close-knit, tight residential area with gun deals, sales going out, with the thing, is kind of concerning to me, but, if it's handled in a proper manner, gun shows and stuff, maybe so, but if there's a lot of guns on site, you're inviting trouble in my book, but like I say, it's my opinion. Say there's enough personal, just, guns are nowadays with the way things are, to me, is kind of a situation where you can invite, people, but with the laws being the way they are with gun sales now, too, being a little liberal somewhat, you can put guns out there that you may not wish was on the streets, too, So, anyway, that's my thing. Thank you.
Are you adjoining property?
He's basically behind me, right behind me and 2 houses over. My property backs up to Hope Drive. Carol's my next door neighbor, and he's right across from her.
Well, what I'm getting at is, does your property touch Mr. McDonald's property in a corner or?
It don't touch it, it's right across the street from me.
Okay.
Right behind my house.
Across the street?
It's just right across
Okay.
the street, 1 house over.
And you did not receive a letter?
I didn't receive a letter. No, Carol did, my neighbor did.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't on the list.
I leave him on 4th Street, she is too, though.
He's right next door to
Mr. Chairman,
Kemp's.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McDonald, do you have an ATF license?
No, once I go through this part of it, if planning and zoning passes me on to the city board, then once the city board, then I gotta go through the state and then also the federal, so I gotta have information from each one to be able to complete the process. So you're my first starting point, then the city board, and then the state, and then once I get those numbers from state, then I can provide them to the firearms federal part of it through the ATF.
I don't understand why the federal regulations would involve whether or not you get a conditional use permit for your house. Wouldn't, if you were applying for a license and had a business location, what would be your first step?
First step is, I could go directly to the feds, but I need the state also, an ID number from the state also for the feds. So if I don't have your approval, then going through the state and the feds would be useless up to, at a certain point, to skip you guys and go directly to them. If I don't have your approval, then I can't do it, and then I would have.
And would that be the same process if you were opening a business in a commercial unit.
Yeah, you'd still have to have the state and then also the ATF correct to be able to do it. Now, as far as the planning and zoning, as long as it be commercial, I would be okay, from my understanding, for inside the city of St. John.
Have you ever had an ATF license previously?
No, this would be the first.
Mr. Chairman, I think we're going to get a little off course and focus on the type of business, but I think that's also exactly what we're here. What do you need from the state to get your FFL?
I have to have a business license through the state.
Oh, okay. And your business license, I guess my question would be, if your intentions are mostly to do gun shows,
Correct.
do you have to have a retail location to be able to do the gun shows?
I wouldn't need a retail location. No, I'd have to have an address for the actual business as far as the state and for the ATF as far as what we consider the business address.
So is your goal with a special use permit to obtain an address for the business, or is it to obtain a retail location?
No, my goal is not to put traffic in the neighborhood. It is not. It would be an address for other farms to say, this is business, but most of my business, I would meet somebody somewhere else, or it'd be the gun shows.
Well, I guess we have similar businesses in town today that operate retail. So my specific question is, do you intend to sell any retail if somebody walks up through the door, or are you going to mostly be are you going to do shows?
My goal is to mainly do shows. I prefer not to have traffic in the neighborhood. I prefer
Okay.
not to. Now, if I say will it not happen, no, I cannot. But is that going to be my goal? It is not to have tons of cars coming in the neighborhood.
Joe?
What kind of inventory do you plan on keeping at the house? I know that somebody said something about having a large inventory of guns. Based off of several other people in town that have done it for years, I know over on Gerard Street, there was a guy for many, many years. St. Jude, there was a guy that did it for a few years. Most of the stuff, if I wanted a particular gun, I'd come to you, then you would order in, and I'd buy it from you. But what type of, are you planning on keeping a selection available?
There will be a small selection. It's not going to be a big selection. There may be a possibility of some handguns. For this area, there may be a possibility of some shotguns or rifles for hunting. That would be it. It's not going to be a big business with large inventory.
Carol, you want to?
My name is Carol Klein. My property backs up to his front, across the street from his house. My first concern is why I was given 1 day's notice about this. I got a letter on Friday telling me about this meeting today. I felt I could have had a little more time, could have been a little more prepared. But I don't know what your rules are on that. I guess I'm mostly concerned is what's actually going to go on at that address that's going to affect my quiet life. You know, I understand, I don't quite understand what you're going to actually do as a business. If you're going to do gun shows, what does that have to do with the house?
As far as the gun shows, I'd like to answer your question. The gun shows, I'll have to, of course, take the inventory with me to the gun shows, so it'll be stored in my house, of course, secure. As far as the traffic wise, I'm not planning on having a lot of traffic in that area because that is also my residence. That's not my goal. My goal is, I am planning on meeting the people. If they're interested in something I have, I'm planning on meeting them somewhere else, not bringing them to the neighborhood.
Yeah, and I understand that you keep saying you don't plan on having a lot, but to me, 1 or 2 people coming behind my house to buy a gun is a lot. It just makes me feel unsafe because I don't know what kind of people are going to be coming. And then if people know you have these guns here, even though you intend to have them locked up and secure, it just kind of makes me worried that, you know, I live alone and I'm going to have people coming right next to my property to buy guns. Makes me feel very unsafe. So, you know, my real concern is just what's actually going to go on right there. And even if you say it's not a lot of people coming there, to me, 1 or 2 is a lot coming down that little dead-end street to buy guns.
I can say as far as neighborhood wise, or as far as my residence wise, I don't have a lot of people over. Family every once in a while, friends every once in a while. So even without the business, I do not create a
I understand that, and I don't mind your family coming over, but it's people coming to buy the guns that I'm concerned about. You know, and you can have all your relatives you want, I don't care. But I'm concerned that people come in right past my yard to buy guns, or know that the guns are there, and go after the guns illegally. What kind of people is going to bring into our neighborhood? That's my main concern.
People to be able to purchase firearms, they have to be able to have certain qualifications to be able to get through ATF to be able to purchase them. If they've had prior criminal histories, if they've had prior mental issues, they cannot purchase the firearm. ATF will not let me sell it to them.
So do they come to your house, give you money, and you give them the gun? They actually purchase it
They have
from you?
to. They would purchase it from me, but they would have to fill out a form, and I'd have to call ATF, get ATF's permission before I can actually sell it to them to,
Then they would come to your house and pick it up?
either that or I can use somewhere else. My goal is not to bring it to my residence. That is not my goal.
Okay.
And it is not my goal to have that at my residence.
I understand it's not your goal, but that doesn't mean they won't, right? When we have no
Correct.
guarantee that they won't be coming there, we have no guarantee that there won't be a you know, I don't mind some traffic, but I'm just concerned with what kind of traffic is going to be.
If there does become a problem, believe me, I have a neighborhood, and I have a very good neighborhood of people that I like living next door to. I will stop it, curtail it if need be. That's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Questions, comments?
I have, this afternoon, I spoke with the chief of police, Eric Bennett, and asked him if he had any concerns. And he voiced to me his concerns are going to be what type of storage for propellants and for the firearms, and also security and alarm system on the premises. But he had no problems with this moving forward. I also talked to Mick Schwint, the chief, fire chief, and my concern there was ammunition, black powder, other propellants if there was a fire. And we talked about that, and he didn't have any issues with that, and we both surmised there are probably a lot of residents in St. Genevieve that have a lot more ammo than most gun stores have in their basements. But he felt comfortable with that too, so we should have some, do we have the form and the paperwork from them?
Yes, it's attached to
Yeah,
your.
but I talked to them today as well and had a conversation. They didn't have any concerns that weren't answered.
Kathy, wasn't the special use permit for this for a while right next door to you?
Yes, sir.
Is it still in existence?
It is my understanding it is not any longer, the signage that they had indicating the special alarm system has been taken down, so my understanding is that that no longer goes on there.
And what would be your plans for advertising on the property?
I would not advertise on the property itself. I'm still sticking by it. I try to keep the limit to down to minimal in the neighborhood. As far as advertising in general, of course, once approved and everything goes through all the channels, of course, the internet, of course, is the goal. But once again, I'm gonna try to leave my address out as much as possible. I'm gonna give a phone number and do the best I can to meet them somewhere else or any kind of shows. But I am not going to advertise on my property.
Yeah, we have one letter received. Tom will read it.
The letter received dated March 5th, 2012, to whom it may concern. Tracy and Mrs. McDonald have been my next door neighbors for the past several years. They are an asset to the neighborhood, and I am sure that Tracy will permit nothing that would have a serious adverse effect on the area. I therefore have no objection to his request. This is from Robert G. Uding at 386 Hope Drive.
And may I address another question from the audience, neighbors, if that's not a problem? next thing I understand, that I only have 2 ways into my bottom area. I do not have a problem, if that's an issue with the board, I do not have a problem with putting the motion line there above the one door, that's not a problem.
Are you guys home, I mean, yeah, as far as you being around your residence, most of the time, where your home body is more or less ties, the gunshot thing where you're pretty much got residents protected, and but, you know, like I say, just, my main concern is mainly is drawing people in from outside of who knows where to come in, and, you know, you don't know them, we don't know them, and, you know, if you say, if you're doing internet sales, you know how that works, and
My goal is to advertise more than on the internet and sell over the internet, because there's so many different laws with the other states of what they're allowed to have in the state, and what they're not allowed to have.
you'd be able to ship GPS or something, or would you actually have to do a physical face-to-face?
You can do it, but that's not my goal starting off.
Is this a new venture that you just kind of? You know, you're a good neighbor, you're a nice guy, and, you know, I don't have personally anything against you, but like I said, just, you know, just have some concerns about, you know, as far as guns and sales, and, you know, how that pops up, and like I said, I wasn't for sure exactly what it was, but they might, you know, as long as they, police don't have a problem with it, next door neighbors don't have a problem with it, and, you know, and be upset if it happened, but I'm just saying, I just would like to see it done in a safe, prudent manner to where, you know, you ain't got to worry about people wanting to rob your house constantly, and, you know, traffic coming in from out of town, you bring in, you know, people come in, those things sitting out, next thing you know, you got a carload of people coming in, you know, picking up stuff around the neighborhood, you know, just having more and more issues of that going on as it is, you know, so, you know, I mean, like I said, you seem like a good guy, and I'm sure you probably conduct a good business, and, you know,
Joe, did you have something?
Yeah, I know you, I know your background, but some people here may not. Can you let people know, you know, what your background is and what you're, I'm not sure what you're doing now, but I know for a long time you were involved with law enforcement, but.
I started out many years ago, I'll try to make it sharp but to the point to answer Mr. Prince's question. I've been in the community for pretty well most of my life, except for a couple of years. I started out at Farmington PD in the 911 Communications Center. I came back to St. Genevieve County Sheriff's Office, started in the communications there, went to the detention center part of it, and then came and worked at the road for St. Genevieve City Police Department for 2.5 years, give or take 3, under Dave Beckerman when he was the chief of police here in St. Genevieve City. I'm still part-time with the Sheriff's Office here in St. Genevieve County under Gary Stolzer. I went full-time, it'll be almost 3 years ago this May. I went to work for the federal government in St. Louis. So I understand the importance of firearms and safety. I really do. I've been around it my whole life. I've had to protect the citizens of St. Genevieve City and St. Genevieve County my whole life. Had a person protecting the city of St. Genevieve resident, burglary in progress, a guy came at me with a pipe. So I do understand the importance of gun safety. I do. So that's been my years of experience in law enforcement and with weapons and having children. So I do understand the concerns. I do.
Any other questions or comments?
I just don't quite understand. I know you keep saying your goal is not to do this, your goal is not to do that, but what if that is what it comes to be? Like you said, your goal is not to have a lot of traffic coming in. Or right now, this is what you plan, but if your business grows, would there be more and more business going on, more people coming there? You know, like, if this is approved for now, what's the limits to what it can become?
If I see that it does become a problem, I will not put my neighbors through that because I have to live next door to my neighbors day in, day out.
But kind of what you see as a problem, what I see as a problem, might be two different things, because you're the man with the guns and the locks, and I'm a lady who lives by myself right behind there, when I see, when the idea of people coming into the neighborhood to buy guns makes me feel very vulnerable.
I see what you're saying. There's two ways of looking at it. There's A ways of, once they come to me, they're gonna have to show me ID. So I'm gonna know who they are, so I'm gonna know if the government says they can have a weapon or they don't. Whereas all the people that pass by your street on 4th Street, You don't know if they have guns legally or illegally, or if they are allowed to even have one.
But they're not stopping, they're going
They're
by.
not stopped, but they are in the neighborhood, they are trying to pass your residence. But I can tell you, as a business wise, if I do get past this point, get a license, I'm not going to do anything illegal to jeopardize my business. If the traffic becomes a problem, trust me, it will stop. I will make sure it stops.
Can you use your own discretion of who you sell to? If somebody comes to you and wants to buy a gun, do you have to sell them a gun, or can you say, I'd rather not, just by knowing that, it's probably not a good person to sell a gun to? Are you bound by that or not?
That is something I do not have an answer for. I would probably need to check with ATF and attorney to cover myself before I answer that question. But if it's, I can't answer for sure because I have not spoken with an attorney or ATF. But I believe it would be like any other business. You would think I would have some judgment call in there, but I cannot definitely answer your question. You got an attorney or ATF first.
If someone going to buy a whole bunch of guns and, you may feel like it's uncomfortable or whatever, you're allowed to back off of that.
If they buy more than 2 weapons, I have to fill out a special form for ATF. That's something they watch if they're purchasing more than 1 or 2 weapons. They start watching it closely. ATF does.
So can people just show up at your door to buy a gun? And if they're out shopping or they have to know that you sell guns, they can just show up at your door?
No, they're
Or
gonna
is there somebody to have to contact you through the internet first, you're gonna check them out?
They're going to have to call me first, make an appointment, and then I will decide on location.
So they don't just knock on the door and say, I want to buy a
Correct.
gun?
Correct.
Also, on the special use permit, it's set up that they are reviewed annually. And, I mean, we can set that time frame in anything, actually. You know, where, if, say, if it was set for 6 months, and in 6 months you came in, you know, it can be changed at any point. It can be reversed.
Yeah, well, he seems a very decent person, and that's how, I don't really see an issue with him and his, way he would conduct a business. I mean, I picked up on that pretty quick, so. Yeah, I think you make the right call.
Well, I was gonna make a motion to approve with a contingency of review in 6 months.
I second that motion.
Would the audience be in favor of a 6-month test period?
Personally, I mean, when Carol's thinking about it, I believe that he.
I really don't feel like I've had enough time to find out about this. I found out about this Friday and I have today to be here. I can't say that I feel good about it because I don't quite understand it. I know he says he has no goal of having people just coming in, and I can understand it's all internet things, but I'm just concerned of my quiet little street and the wrong people coming down the street. And I don't know how we would know what is going on until something bad went on. So to say to review it in 6 months, how would we know how it's going unless there was a problem?
And his law enforcement background, knowing that kind of took a lot of concerns away from me when we were involved in law enforcement, so I'm sure he's.
You think if we were to table this, you think a month would be enough time for you to get information? And
No, I don't need more, no, that's not necessary.
not necessary to table?
No, not for me.
There's a motion and a second.
I know, I just asked a question, it's discussion time.
You got a motion in a second? Let's do a roll call.
Jim Prince,
Yes.
Kathy Waltz,
No.
Tom Couch,
Yes.
Larry Roger,
Yes.
Alderman Openfuss?
No.
There you go.
Yes.
It's 4 yeses and 2 noes.
This would be board.
April the 12th.
April 12th. It goes to the Board of Aldermen on April the 12th.
7 PM, sir.
Hmm?
At 7 PM?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have any old business? Okay. Other business?
Hold on a second. It has come to my attention that there are areas that have been annexed into the city that are commercial and industrial uses that were never rezoned. Properties automatically coming into the city are automatically R1. I know of at least one property that it has started the process to be rezoned. How would the board feel about contacting the other properties as well and do a group rezoning? This is a group of businesses on 32 and then on St. Mary's 61, South 61, the recycling center, Steepy's, and there's one other.
I'd be in favor of learning and discussing that.
Okay. Me too. I will put it on it's the next agenda then for discussion. Citizens Electric is filling out paperwork now for rezoning, and it may be ready for your next meeting. I thought it would be for this meeting, but he held off. MFA is the property right in front of Citizen Electric. I haven't contacted them yet, but they are also R1 with an industrial use. Doesn't really become a problem until they're being appraised or so. Finances. Just a little bit of housework.
Warren, where are we at on the sign ordinance?
Where we were the last time.
Where we were last time?
Unfortunately, Martin and I have not had an opportunity to sit down and discuss it.
And my goal is to have it to you time for the board to hear it in the month of April, so we'll have to have hopefully at your next regular meeting.
Okay. Kevin?
I just have a quick question. I don't want to belabor the point, but, and I know I missed a meeting recently. Is the meeting, I missed the meeting where there was the approval for the new KC sign?
Never came in front of us, did it? Good point.
They,
Well, then let's go get it
Well,
and
they
take it
obtained a
down.
permit to replace the sign that they have.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
They obtained the permit to replace the sign that they have.
And did they submit what they were going to replace their
Mhm.
previous sign with?
Yes. They submitted all the paperwork required as far as location, type of signage, and how it's going to be constructed, and who's going to construct it.
Under our current sign ordinance, it was in compliance.
Yes, since they're
Yeah.
basically replacing what was there, just a updated sign.
Would
Is
that
there an
be
issue?
the possibility of a bad precedent if replacement of a sign as opposed to a new sign is broader than the regulations required for erecting a new sign?
They were increasing the square footage of the sign beyond the limits of the ordinance, I think is the question you're asking.
And I'm also addressing the lights on the sign now too.
Illumination.
Yeah.
Is there an illumination requirement in our ordinance?
I don't know if that's the question I'm asking. What I'm asking is, doesn't enforcement like that open up the proverbial can of worms if the definition of a replacement sign is broader than a new construction of a sign? As in, why didn't they need a permit for that replacement sign that is an illuminated sign as opposed to the plastic sign they used to have? I guess is my question.
Well, they did obtain a permit. It wasn't that they could just switch it out. As far as I'm aware, it was within the guidelines of our sign ordinance. You can have an illuminated sign.
Yeah, I think you're talking about the message
Digital.
board. The,
Is there a
Well, their current,
message center?
their
Yes.
new sign is just a digital display of the gas
Yeah.
price.
Right.
And it's taken the place of two,
Right.
instead of having lead or super and regular.
just one.
It's just one price now, and it's a digital sign as opposed to a fluorescent
It does have
illumination.
scrolling
No.
script.
It does
No.
not.
Any moving.
No.
It does
So
not
it's
have
not a
scrolling
message
script that
center.
I'm aware
Right,
of.
it's just a stationary price sign, basically.
Yeah. That's why I did not bring it into a board, because I didn't understand it as being a.
But it's actually smaller than what they had,
Yeah,
so.
But I think the point would be that as you review the sign ordinance before you bring it in front of the board for approval, Kathy's point, well taken, is you shouldn't get carte blanche to replace the sign. The new sign would have to meet all the current.
Well, correct, and they did go through a review before it obtained a building permit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question? No.
Close enough.
Anything else?
Move for adjournment.
Got a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.